live streams. We also have some folks online for our virtual public workshop, so welcome to everybody. I'd like to start by introducing myself. My name is Rachel Hatcher. I'm with RS&H, and we were hired as a consulting firm to help Albany Transit with the update to the 2020 Albany Transit Development Plan. We have a whole team today to help us through the virtual public workshop, and I'm going to introduce each, and if y'all would wave your hands so they know who is who on the screen. We have Gwendolyn McDaniel. She's with Albany Transit. She wears a lot of hats, actually. She does customer service, she does planning, she does operations, so she is really the nuts and bolts. She knows everything about the system, so she is the go-to if you have questions of that regard. We also have Vashania Forbes with us today. She's with RS&H. She's one of our planners. And she really dives into the data and analytics of a system and looks at how it operates and how it is currently functioning before then looking to the future about how the system could function and improve in efficiency. We also have Justin Damons with us today from RS&H. Justin is really diving into the routes as well as the stops. He's very familiar with where each of the individual stops are, who they serve and benefit. So if you have ideas about new stops or areas where you'd like to see a new route, he's going to be your guy. We also have Beverly Davis with us from RS&H. Bev has a wealth of experience and brings that to this team. She's our quality control and assurances as well as our program director for this project. So she makes sure we're all working as a team and that the product is of the best quality for the community. We also have Content Terry with customer service, public outreach. And then we have Jonathan DeMott with Albany Transit as well. So without any further ado, we're going to go through a presentation slide, and then we're going to show you some of the really exceptional tools that we've put together to help you all provide your feedback and comment to us. We do ask that you put yourself on mute if you're joining us in our Zoom platform, and then we'll give you an opportunity to go into breakout rooms and talk directly with any of our team members that you'd like to. For those of you who are on Facebook or YouTube, if you click on the link as we conclude our presentation, you will be able to join us in our Zoom meeting. So the Albany Transit Development Plan, we have a couple of slides to walk you through what it is, why we're doing it, and give you a little bit of an overview of the steps that it takes to complete a transit development plan update, as well as opportunities for participation for you all to give us your very important and valuable feedback for this process. So what is a TDP, or Transit Development Plan? It's a strategic planning document that defines public transit needs, solicits broad input from you all as the public as well as stakeholders, and explores community goals with decision makers and stakeholders, defines alternative courses of action, and develops a systematic plan and monitoring program. It's very important to note that this is a prerequisite to the receipt of federal and state funding. So all transit systems in the country do receive federal subsidy as well as potential state funding for public systems. And so it's very important to ensure that we meet all of those legislative requirements in order to receive those funds. It includes a fiscally constrained 5-year work program and a 10-year long-range improvement plan. The last TDP was completed in 2015, which means that your current must be adopted in 2020. It includes system and performance data, community population employment and demographic data, funding projections for 5-year and 10-year plans, transit system service and policy recommendations, results of public and stakeholder engagement efforts, and implementation timelines and strategies. And if you would like to review that full report, the link is available here, and it will be available on our virtual meeting platform as well. So a little bit of an overview of how the study functions. You can see that public and stakeholder engagement is overarching. It occurs from the beginning of the study all the way through completion, and then it lives on through implementation of the recommendations. So we start with project initiation, where a stakeholders advisory committee is formed. We develop a plan for input to make sure that throughout this process, you all are given those key opportunities and ongoing opportunities to provide us with information, because in the end, the transit development plan is for the benefit of the users. So data collection and assessment is where we spent the significant portion of our time, and that's where you are here, because as part of data collection, your feedback is a key element of that. So we will look at service and ridership information, but pair that with surveys and feedback to make sure that we not only see how the system is doing now, but how it should be moving forward in the future. We also determine demand to see where we have potential unmet ridership because we don't have enough service provided or not the right type of service provided. And that helps us to identify service options. Then we look at organizational roles and then develop recommendations. And all of this occurs over approximately a 1-year timeline, a little bit shorter in your case, where you'll have the final adopted TDP in February. So a little bit about your system. Albany Transit is a department of the City of Albany. You have 13 also offer paratransit service for eligible disabled passengers in Dougherty County and not in Lee County. So recent transit system updates, you've had some significant improvements to your bus stops as well as your new compressed natural gas buses, fueling stations and maintenance facilities, and ongoing design of the new transfer facility, which you can see in the bottom right corner that'll be coming in the near future. So an important note about this plan, it does build on other planning efforts that have been ongoing in your region, including the 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan through the Dougherty Area Regional Transportation Study, your MPO. And you can see in this graphic, the results of the survey did pull in bicycle, pedestrian, and transit responses to say, if you're not using it, why? What would help you to be able to utilize these systems more readily in your transportation needs? And you can see in transit, the reason that people said they most likely wouldn't use it is travel time. So that's something that's very meaningful and important to us when we're designing modifications and recommendations to the system to know how we can improve that for riders. It's an informed planning approach. This TDP is going to explore areas for service expansion, service improvements for existing routes, bus stop improvement priorities, transit-oriented development, so where developments for housing or commercial could occur that would best suit and benefit transit as well as benefit those that are using it. Bus rapid transit, so different forms of transportation, technology and infrastructure, ADA paratransit services, and impacts of COVID-19 on the service currently as well as moving into the future. And participation in the workshop will help us expand on that list. So how do you get involved? We would hope that you would attend public workshops. So thank you all for watching today and participating with us. We really value your feedback. So we'll be here for you to break out into sessions with each of our members if you like to give us your feedback on the various topics that we're going to be covering. We hope that you'll take the online survey. We have that here available today, both in English and in Spanish. Learn about the TDP process and then share that information with others because you all have great friends and connections in your community, those that ride transit, maybe if you don't. So passing this information along so that we can get the most feedback possible will really benefit the program. So these are your opportunities today, and we're going to show you these in live feed, but you have your station that will give you this same presentation again if you'd like to re-see it. That's where you are now, so you're in the first station. If you move counterclockwise, station number 2 is where you'll see the online survey in both English and in Spanish, as well as a project fact sheet. That again will be in English and in Spanish. And there will be avatars scattered throughout that you can click on and you can see information about them, and that will help you to know which of our stations you would like to join perhaps. We have a project schedule that gives you a little more detailed information about when things will occur if you weren't able to see that in enough detail in the presentation. System performance report will be at station number 4, where you can see again in greater detail how the current service is performing. You'll have an interactive comment map. Justin will be manning that station where you can drop a pin if you'd like to see a stop somewhere, or even draw a new route that you really would like someone to consider and assess that you've been thinking about for some time. And you can provide feedback on existing. So if you have a bus stop that perhaps doesn't have a shelter and you really believe that it's warranted and needed, provide that information to us and it'll be incorporated in the process. goals and objectives activity. This will be where Gwendolyn will be stationed, and she's there to take your feedback on what the overarching goals of the system and the objectives of the system should be. For instance, I don't think we need to have so many routes. I think we should condense and make it faster, or I think we need greater coverage. I think we need to go out to Lee County, or I think we need to get to the Walmart out on Lido Road. Those are areas where you could either provide them in the interactive comment map, or you could go to the goals and objectives and say, we need to broaden out our system in different ways. And then, of course, you have your overall comment form. So that's in English and in Spanish as well. And that's where you can just type your comments up and say, I don't really want to take a survey. I don't really want to drop a pen. And I don't really want to talk to someone. I just want to get my thoughts down. So that comment form is there for you to do that. So without any further ado, I'm going to take you into our virtual platform. And it's important to note that this is a virtual workshop to show you all the tools and to allow you to interact with our team. But there is also an ongoing virtual meeting platform that will be live after this meeting concludes, so that you can continue to engage with us through this platform. You can continue to access all of the information we just covered. You can click on our avatars and you can see our information, so that if you needed to contact us or reference us in any of the information, you can do that. The video that we just went through, if you click here, it will show you that same presentation with voiceover cues, so that you can hear the information as well as see it. If you scroll through the room, you're now at Content Station. So here's Content Terry with Content Consulting, and you can launch our survey. And in doing so, you can respond to the questions and submit that. We also have it in Spanish. And if you click on the link to your right, you will also see our fact sheet that gives you a snapshot of the system and a little bit of information about our study and the timeline. So we will now break into our breakout rooms. I encourage you all to go to our virtual platform. That link is available and made available to you all on Albany Transit's website. We are here, so if anyone wants to go into a specific part of that room, just send me a chat or speak up, and we will be happy to walk you through how to use it, so that when you go into that room, you are familiar and you know how the tools function. You are able to join any of our rooms individually, but if you would like for me to place you in a room, just let me know. Again, my name is Rachel Hatcher. If you'd like to just shout out a question, we're all also able to fill those as well. So if we have interest in going into individual chat rooms, we have a chat room for Vishanya Forbes, a chat room for Justin Damons, a chat room for Gwendolyn McDaniel, and then you can stay in the main room and speak with myself and Beverly Davis. So we're going to stay on the line. We have another couple of hours. We're here as long as you all would like to join us. We encourage those that are on Facebook and YouTube, please click the link and join our meeting. And if you don't have the opportunity to do that today, please follow up and go into our virtual meeting platform, where you can interact with our avatars, interact with all of our engagement opportunities like our surveys and our GIS platform for dropping pins and lines. And we look forward to speaking with you. Without any further ado, I'm going to open it up to our participants. It looks like we've got some shy folks today, so we are just going to remain on the line. And if anybody has any questions, y'all feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we will all be here for the remainder of the session.
Rachel, I'll be in my room waiting just in case somebody pops by.
Okay, great. Thank you, Vishanya.
Rachel, I think I need another invite for my room. I don't see it anymore.
Okay, sure. 1 second, I'll get that for you. All right, let's pull up our breakout rooms. All right. Gwendolyn, you are still currently assigned to your room.
Okay, I can't find it anywhere.
Here you go. There you go. And we've got a TAC admin not joined, and we have Tanisha. You want me to place you in a room, Tanisha? I'll place you in Gwendolyn's room.
Sure, that's fine.
All right.
You got to place Gwendolyn in her room first.
Gwendolyn, you are already there here.
No. I cannot. Here I am.
All right. Well, we won't snatch anyone else out unless they want to. So for those of you live, thank you again. We're going to close out there for you all. Thank you so much. And if anyone would like to join us in our chat rooms, please feel free to click on the link and join us at our Zoom virtual meeting, as well as come back anytime and check out our virtual meeting platform. Thank you so much for the participation. All right, so we did have a question live on Facebook, and this is an excellent one that, Tanisha, I think you would be an excellent person in the main chat room to address it if you're comfortable with that. The question asked via Facebook Live was regarding safety precautions for COVID-19 on the buses. So specifically asking how we're going to keep people safe during COVID-19. So I think that's a really fantastic question. Gwendolyn is currently talking with Tanisha in her private chat room. You all can join us and enter into those chat rooms and speak with each of us. But yes, drivers and staff are required to wear masks, as well as use sanitizing, spraying, and cleaning products periodically on the system, as well as where people are sitting and touching. And there are health checks, so folks are provided with a screening to make sure that they are healthy. and able to provide very safe service. There's also social distancing requirements in place that prevent people from getting too close to one another while they're riding the bus, boarding and alighting the bus as well. So there's a lot of precautions and measures that are being taken currently. And Gwendolyn, you can share more information on that if you'd like. But the specific question again was, how are we keeping people safe during COVID-19?
He is muted.
There you go.
Okay. Hi, Rachel. I'm sorry. Can you ask me that question again, please?
Sure, I can. I covered the basics, but I think you'd be fantastic to cover the detailed information. Regina Robinson on Facebook Live asked us, how are you all planning to keep riders safe during COVID-19 pandemic? Is everyone required to wear masks?
Rachel, this is David.
Hi, David.
Hi, Gwen. Can I answer that one, please?
You sure can.
Okay. So what we're doing now, Rachel, I think you covered it. And for some reason, I'm logged in under Tanisha's name. You see her name on it twice.
I do.
I'm one of those Tanishas.
Okay, great.
But you're right. We are requiring people to wear masks. We do have sanitation on the buses. We have sanitizers. We will continue to wipe down the buses periodically. And we will encourage people to try to keep a seat in between where possible. We will not allow people to stand on the buses. We also have driver safety shields on the buses to help protect the drivers as well. So those are some of the things that we will continue to do.
Great, thank you, David. I think that's a very sensitive subject. There's a lot of interest and a lot of curiosity about how transit agencies are doing and how they're all performing, and those measures are industry standard, and they in fact exceed industry standard and requirements at this point. So Albany Transit is doing a really good job of recognizing the need, following all protocols as they're released from CDC as well as by the governor, and doing their very best to keep everyone safe. And while we're all here together, we're just going to explore some of our own tools, so that if we have folks joining us via Facebook Live or YouTube, thank you all for joining us. Again, my name is Rachel Hatcher. I'm part of the consulting team updating the Albany Transit TDP. We have Albany Transit staff as well as a full consultant team here to talk through details with you all, and some interactive tools that you can engage with beyond the life of this meeting. You can go onto the Albany Transit website and you can find these online tools. Here's one example where you can scroll into the system and you can observe individual bus stops. And you can provide feedback on those bus stops. So you can scroll into your area and you can say, I'm really not happy with the conditions here, or I really love this bus stop and would hate to see anything happen to it. That way we know that's an important one for current ridership. You can do the same for routes. So this interactive tool allows you to really isolate an area where you have a comment and not have to try to convey that location to us. For those of you who are very focused on planning for the system and feel like there's some connections that are missing, you could even draw a route and name that route. And then you can ask our team to contact you back if you'd like, so that we can incorporate your thoughts and we can determine whether or not there are opportunities to incorporate your recommendations. So these are really exciting tools that you can utilize to share your specific feedback with us. In addition to that, we also have instructions. So if you get into the tool, you're not entirely sure how to interact with it, how to best utilize it, you can click on this little link here and it'll pop up a video with voiceover that shows you step by step how to use the various tools and how to submit your feedback. In addition to that, let's just go through each of these because they're really exciting and there's a lot of really helpful and interesting information in each of them. For the operational analysis, this was Vishanya's focus area. You can see the overall annual ridership trends, and they break down not only in graphic format, but also the numbers and percentages of growth of the system in various areas, including your fixed route system, the bus with the bus stops, and your paratransit ADA service that's demand response, where you make an appointment for eligible riders that have disabilities and qualify for that service. You can see your monthly ridership information and can actually track the months of the year where you can see the global pandemic began, service was reduced, and then you can start to see that growth back of the system. So we have seen that at a national level as well as a state and regional level, where you really saw a pretty significant dip in the March-April timeframe, and then the services started to rebound as we learned more about the global pandemic. And then as you scroll further down, you can see specific information about each of the routes. So Route 1, your red line, Robert Harvey, you can see the route map in this icon. If you click on the little expand button, it actually blows up larger so you can see the route. These are also available on Albany Transit's website, as well as in an overarching system map where you can see how all the routes work together. And if you scroll through each of those routes, it'll provide you with detailed information about their performance. So you can see annual ridership on this route is down 35% as a result of the global pandemic. But you can see where that ridership was prior to the performance changes this year. And it'll provide you with a location on the map for that route. As you scroll to Route 2, the gold line, Albany State, you can see where that shows up on the map. And again, the services statistics for that route. So you can really get a good overview as well as a detailed understanding of how your current service is performing, and see each of those routes in detail, so that if you did want to go back to the drop a pin or draw a route, you can do a little bit of additional research about the overarching system and how it's currently performing. So maybe perhaps a scenario is, I don't really love the red route. I don't think that it's doing very well. Well, now you can click on this and you can see, oh, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this route isn't doing as well as the route that I thought was underperforming. So that really is a great pairing of tools where you can learn more about the system and then provide your feedback or vice versa. And then moving on to your general comments, when you click in this location, you have these little hyperlinks here that say share your feedback. So if you click on those links, you have the opportunity to just provide your general feedback, general information. You can provide your contact information, and then you can tell us whether or not you want us to contact you back. So you do have that feedback loop to make sure that if you would like someone to talk to you in greater detail about your comments, you have that opportunity. And again, for those of you who are just joining, if you click on the main link at the stage, the presentation that was given today is available. You press play and the voiceover for the dialogue is available, so that for those that are vision impaired or those that prefer to listen to the information versus reading it on the slide, you're accommodated as well. So again, this is our virtual meeting platform. We have our avatars where you can click and learn more about our team. If you have specific feedback or comments in our general forums, that way you know how to identify who you'd like to reference. And those are available for each of our team members. We will be having another virtual public workshop at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So for those who are watching live, if you would like to join our Zoom platform, our Zoom virtual meeting at that time, you'll be able to interact with us versus just hearing the information, share your feedback, share your thoughts. And for those that are watching that don't want to participate in a one-on-one type of setting, please take our survey, go to our virtual platform, use our tools, gain familiarity with the system, and share this information with your friends. We are very thankful for your feedback, and it's critical to providing the best opportunities for you all as potential or current riders. All right, team. We're going to sit tight. We're going to play our presentation through for those of you who are just joining and didn't have the opportunity to hear the live presentation. We're going to launch the virtual meeting version with voiceover. If at any time you would like for us to interrupt this presentation to ask us questions, please feel free to either message us in the chat or join one of our individual meeting rooms. We have meeting rooms for Vishania Forbes, for Justin Damons, as well as for Gwendolyn McDaniel. So I'm going to start the presentation and For those of you who are just joining, that was our overview presentation for the Albany Transit TDP. We also have our online virtual tools that are an ongoing meeting platform that will live beyond the life of this meeting today. And you can go into our virtual platform. You can interact with our avatars, click on this presentation to view that anytime and share with your friends. At Station 2, you have your English and Spanish surveys, as well as your fact sheets in both English and in Spanish, where you can access a snapshot of the system performance. You can see that overview of our planning process, detailed information about our project schedule, and opportunities for how you can interact and provide information that will help engage with this process. In addition, you have contact information for your Albany Transit representative who would be happy to answer any more detailed questions or help provide some clarity on our process. We would encourage everyone to please take our online survey that is very user-friendly, takes about 10 minutes to complete. We have it in both English and in Spanish, and is a really concise way to help give us not only information about how you think the system is performing, but areas where you think we could see improvement in the future. Again, you can see that detailed information about the project schedule, including data collection, where we are currently wrapping up our efforts, evaluation and analysis, which will go on through the first couple of weeks in November. Demand estimation, this is really where you can help us to understand where we may have unmet needs in the community, where we maybe should consider a new route or greater service in an area that needs more frequency. An alternatives analysis, where we will not only look at what the current service operational data and figures look like and where we see opportunities for unmet demand, but we'll look at different ways that we can provide that type of service and which is most cost effective and which is most beneficial to the riders. We have ongoing public and stakeholder engagement. You're here with the little green star, so there will be more opportunities to provide input as we go through the process. And the plan development is an ongoing effort where you see we have adoption of the plan after the first of the year in 2021. At our next station, you can see the detailed operational analysis. And for those of you just joining us on Facebook and YouTube, you can access this information by going to the Albany Transit website and clicking on our virtual meeting platform. You can see detailed information by route as well as a map of the overarching system and a pop-up map of that specific route. If you have questions about where that current service is offered and where those existing stops are, you can see the stops are referenced by a blue star. At the next station, you can provide feedback via interactive mapping, which is a really exciting feature that we've created for this process. To learn how to engage with this tool and all of the various features, you can click on the link to the left here, and the information will be shared with you about how you provide your business data. You can zoom into the maps and you can interact with the individual stops. You can provide your feedback and you can also perform the same for routes. You have information for what a TDP is and what you benefit, how you benefit as a community from having a TDP. And a really important piece to that is not only having a framework and a plan for the future, but it is also a prerequisite for federal and state funding, which is a critical element for Albany Transit and each transit agency that's federally funded throughout the country. You can provide us with general comments in English and in Spanish. In English, you click the share your feedback hyperlink in the first paragraph, and for Spanish, you would do that in the second paragraph. And this provides you with an opportunity to share your thoughts in an unformatted format. So instead of saying, answer the questions that we would like to hear from you in a survey or provide feedback on an individual stop, perhaps you just have some overarching thoughts you would like to share. And this is your opportunity to do that. You can also provide us with your contact information and then share with us whether or not you would like to be contacted back by one of our team members to provide additional feedback or information or for you to continue to share your thoughts. We thank you for joining us today. We've got a couple of folks still on the line. We're going to continue to loop through this process for those that are just joining. So we're going to go on mute for a few minutes. We're going to restart the video on a loop so those that are just coming in have the opportunity to see that information. At any time, if you would like to interact with any of our team members, please feel free to join one of our individual rooms. You have a room for Justin Damons, one for Vishanya Forbes, and one for Gwendolyn McDaniel. I'll be in the main room. Again, my name is Rachel Hatcher. I'm the project manager for the consulting team. And if you'd like to message us in our chat box, we're happy to respond to you in that way. For those of you on Facebook and YouTube, please feel free to provide information in the chat boxes, and we will be providing information and responses back through this process. So I'm going to restart the presentation, and we'll come back live in about 5 minutes. For those of you who are just joining, that was our overview presentation for the Albany Transit TDP. My name is Rachel Hatcher. I'm the project manager for the consulting team. You are now seeing our virtual meeting platform that will be up and live beyond the life of this meeting. You can see we have avatars here. This is my information. And for our team, you can continue to scroll around the room. You can select each of the avatars to learn more about those working on your project. And at each station, there are opportunities for input. As described in the overview presentation, at the station number 2, you'll be provided with an opportunity to click on a link survey. And that goes to both English and Spanish versions. And you will also have the opportunity to view a fact sheet for the system. These are also available in hard copy format from the Albany Transit System. And you can view information about the process as well as a snapshot of the performance of the service and information about the project schedule. And you'll also have opportunities to continue to be involved in the public and stakeholder engagement process and information available for our team members that can provide more detailed information if you're not finding what you'd like to see in our online platform. We also have our project schedule, where you can see more detailed information about when these individual activities are occurring. And you can see there's a significant amount of overlap. Each of these tasks feeds one another, and many of them are done concurrently. We're working towards a deadline in February 2021. We're currently wrapping up data collection and moving into evaluation and analysis. So we really start to digest that information and determine where there are opportunities for improvements for the system, both in the short range as well as the long range. and those do have to be fiscally constrained. So we look at what resources and funding will be available, what those needs are, where we're seeing underperformance, and make recommendations for the service. That's done in an alternatives analysis, where we look at your current services as an alternative one, and then various other services that could improve your system. And then the preferred alternative is ultimately selected as your path forward for the system. Public and stakeholder engagement is improving. And so we're really happy to see more people coming in and providing us with feedback. You're here with this little green star. Thank you all so much for joining us on Facebook and YouTube. And we're going to have many more opportunities for you all to provide feedback to us throughout this process. And the plan development is ongoing. At each of the stages as they conclude, we have a technical memorandum that wraps up and summarizes the findings, and then those are ultimately used to help us develop this final plan document. You can then scroll over to our station where you can learn more about the system's operations and analysis. So you can scroll through and see the overall system ridership trends and information. You can really start to see the impacts that COVID-19 had in the early stages on ridership as we were learning more about the pandemic. And as one of our participants asked earlier, you can see more and hear more information about how we're handling safety and security for the system, and really starting to see comfort levels rise and ridership rebound, which is really great to see. And it's not only occurring in Albany, but also occurring regionally, statewide, and nationally. As we learn more about the global pandemic and are better able to respond to it, we're seeing folks more able to get out and utilize transportation services. You can see information for each route. So for instance, Route 1, the red line, Robert Harvey, you have a snapshot of the system map, service map, and you can expand that by clicking on the little arrow. And you can see the full alignment, and stops are indicated as little stars. And if you would like to see where in the overall community that is located, as you scroll through each of the routes, you'll see that it pans to that location in a background map. So as you move to Route 2, the map will adjust so that you can see where that service is provided. And that is conducted for the entire Albany transit system. At our next station, you can select our interactive comment forum, which we're really excited about. In this location, you can click on the small icon here in the lower left, and that provides you with a video demonstrating how you can utilize this tool to provide your feedback. You can pan across the map and you can see individual stops. You can select those stops to make comments, or you can draw your own stop. If there's an area where you would really like to see service conducted and there isn't a stop there today, you can provide that information to us, or you could even provide information to us about the conditions at an existing stop. So perhaps there's no shelter or there's no sidewalks. Providing us with that information helps to reinforce where you all would like to see improvements made, not only to how the system functions, but also the comfort level of you as a rider. That information will then be inserted into an overarching commentary map, and we can overlay that with existing services and our data-driven analysis and see where we see some opportunities and overlap between the feedback we get from you all as participants and riders of the system and our team from the analytical standpoint. You can learn more about what a TDP is and interact with Ms. Gwendolyn McDaniels. She is our Albany Transit representative and is happy to provide any information you need about the existing system. And she also is the customer service representative, so she will be able to provide you with some detailed information about next steps if you have any concerns. At our last station, we have opportunities for you to provide your just general feedback. So perhaps you don't want to take a survey and you don't feel comfortable interacting with an online map-based tool. In this location, you can click on the hyperlink to share your feedback. And you can provide just your open-ended comments, whatever you would like for us to know, concerns, opportunities, ideas. We're happy to feed all of that information into our process. You can provide your contact information, and then you can indicate to our team whether or not you would like for us to contact you back and continue that dialogue. Again, this is our online meeting platform. You can access this by going to the Albany Transit website, and you can interact with it for the next 1 month period. So we encourage you to utilize all of the various tools and to share this information with those that maybe weren't able to join today, so they have opportunities to provide their feedback as well. So we're going to enter now back into the presentation slide and let that loop go for those that are just joining. We do thank you all for joining us on Facebook and YouTube Live. And at any point during the presentation, if you would like to reach out to our team, please feel free to send a message to us in the chat. You can also go into any of our breakout rooms. We have a breakout room for Gwendolyn McDaniel. We have one for Justin Damons, and we have one for Vishania Forbes. So if you would like to talk to them individually, please feel free to do that. We encourage you to please share this information with others, and we will have another opportunity for you all to participate in a live meeting from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. this evening. So without any further ado, I'm going to restart the presentation on a video loop for those that are just joining us, and we will go back through these tools and opportunities in the next 10 minutes. For those of you who are just joining us, my name is Rachel Hatcher. I'm the project manager for the Albany Transit TDP, or Transit Development Plan Update. You were just viewing our overview video and presentation for the TDP. You're now in the virtual public meeting, virtual workshop platform, and you can see you have the various stations that were described in the presentation where you can scroll and pan the room. You can also go to each individual station and select the various interactive tools. This is the online survey, which is also available in Spanish, where you can provide your feedback. It takes about 10 minutes to complete and provides us with very helpful information about your feelings about how the system is currently operating and areas where you would like to see some improvement. In addition, you can also select the links to view the fact sheets for the system. These are also available on the buses and on the Albany Transit website. This provides you with an overview of the process as well as a snapshot of how the system is currently operating, the detailed project schedule, opportunities for feedback, as well as contact information for our team. You can again see the detailed public workshop, project schedule at this location. The project began in June, and each of the various phases you can see have some form of overlap, where we have an ultimate adoption date scheduled for February of 2021. We're currently wrapping up data collection and moving into evaluation and analysis, which will be completed in November. And that's really looking at how the system is operating and overlaying that with demand estimation, i.e. areas in the community that are not currently served or that don't have enough frequency or service to provide the amount of transportation that is needed by the community. We then develop alternatives that feed the data collection that was conducted, the evaluation and analysis results, and demand estimation, as well as your feedback from public and stakeholders into what is called an alternatives analysis, where we look at different versions of how the system could function in the future, where routes are perhaps rerouted and changed, addition of new stops, addition of supplemental services, or reduction in service in areas where perhaps it's no longer needed as the community changes. Each of these alternatives are evaluated, presented to your council, and then represented to you all as the public so that you can again provide your feedback to us about how we have accomplished what your goals and objectives are and effectively help to move the future of public transportation for Albany Transit in the right direction for you as a community. You will have opportunities for public and stakeholder engagement. So you see that will be ongoing through the completion of the study. You're here at the Green Star. So this is our first public workshop. You will have another opportunity this evening between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock p.m. to join us in our live meeting platform. And then plan development is ongoing. Again, that's slated for completion and adoption in February of 2021. But it is a living document, so we are updating it, providing information in technical memorandum format, and incorporating that into the overall report. And then after completion, you begin the implementation stages. It's about a 5-year process from completion to the start of your next study. So you will see action on your TDP and then an update once those implementation measures have been completed. You can also move to the operational analysis station, where you can click on our interactive tool where you can learn about the overall information for the system, including ridership and performance data. And then you can look at the individual statistics by route. So for instance, Route 1, Red Line, Robert Harvey, you see a little snapshot map that can be expanded by clicking the arrows. And then you can see the route alignment as well as the individual stops, which are shown as blue stars. You can see that overlaid over the road network, so you can get your bearings and understand where the route is currently servicing. And then that information can be used to inform you about where the service is currently provided. And then you can click on our next station to provide your feedback about perhaps an area where we aren't providing service that you would like to see it by dropping either a bus stop or creating your own bus route. You can draw those routes in, or you can select an individual route and provide your feedback on the performance of the route, or perhaps an area where you would like to see some adjustments made. If you would like to see the full tutorial of how to use the tool, you can click on the link in the bottom left corner, and that will provide you with detailed information and step-by-step about how to use the tool and what your capabilities are to provide your feedback to us. Those comments will all be pulled in and aggregated into one map. And then during our analysis, we'll be able to see your feedback, see your comments, and make appropriate recommendations. At the next station, you can learn more about what a TDP is. And at our final station, you can select hyperlinks to provide your feedback in a more general platform. So you don't have to do a survey, you don't have to interact with us individually, you don't have to drop a pin. If you just have some comments, some things that you would like for someone to know, a complaint, perhaps you'd like to use this opportunity to share something that you think is going very well for the Albany transit system that you would hate to see changed. You can provide your general feedback. You can give us your contact information, and then you can let us know whether or not you would like to continue that dialogue and have an Albany Transit Development Plan team member reach back out to you. So I'll encourage all of you to utilize these tools to share your feedback. You can always reach out to us via email or telephone as well if you feel uncomfortable utilizing this technology. And there are hard paper format copies of the online survey. So if you feel uncomfortable with the technology, or you have a group of individuals that you think would really benefit from filling them out, please reach out to us. We're happy to provide those hard copies and ensure that you have every opportunity to participate in the process. So we will go back through the presentation slides. I have received information that the voiceover is a little difficult to hear, so to make that a little more comfortable for you all, I'm gonna do a walkthrough of the presentation, and then we'll go back through the room. We're live on this meeting until approximately 3:00 p.m. So we have just about one more opportunity to go through the presentation and filter through the room. If at any time during my presentation you would like to provide a comment to us in our chat box, please feel free to do so. We also have individual chat rooms available. We have 3 of those, and that's our individual team members will field questions and speak directly to you. So I'm going to go back through the PowerPoint presentation slides, and then we will give you one more walkthrough of the online tool. So during this presentation, we're going to discuss what the Transit Development Plan, or TDP, is, the Albany Transit Study and System Overview, opportunities for participation, and how you all can engage with us to provide your very valuable feedback. So first and foremost, what is a Transit Development Plan, or TDP? A TDP is a strategic planning document that defines public transit needs, solicits broad input, involves substantial public participation, explores community goals with decision makers and stakeholders, defines alternative courses of action, and develops a systematic plan and monitoring program. This TDP is a prerequisite to the receipt of federal and state funding, includes a financially constrained 5-year work program, and includes a 10-year long-range improvement plan. When was the Albany Transit TDP last updated? We completed a 2015 Albany TDP, which included system and service performance data, community population employment and demographic data, funding projections for 5- and 10-year plans, transit system service and policy recommendations, results of public and stakeholder engagement efforts, implementation timelines and strategies, and all of that can be viewed by clicking on the hyperlink to view the full 2015 report at www.albanyga.gov. An overview of the 2020 Albany TDP study is provided, where you can see that the stakeholder and public engagement, as shown in the gray areas, is overarching and is conducted throughout the planning process. The red box indicates that you are here in the process. We're just wrapping up data collection and assessment and moving into the analysis of the system. Data collection and assessment includes not only identifying service data, but also looking at ridership and surveys, financial data, and your study area profile. We'll then move to determining areas where demand is currently not being met, where you have substantial population and appointments for trips that could support public transportation services. We identify those service options and then organization and assessment recommendations. The plan is then reviewed and recommendations made, and final reports and presentations are conducted. All of these are conducted over a 9-month time period beginning in June and moving through February of 2021 for the TDP adoption. We're currently wrapping up again data collection and moving into evaluation and analysis, which will be concluded in November, along with demand estimation, which will then feed into alternatives analysis. Public and stakeholder engagement, again, is ongoing. You're here with the green star for our first public workshop. And plan development will be ongoing, incorporating each of the findings of these individual tasks. A little bit about your current system. Albany Transit is a department of the City of Albany and has 13 bus routes currently. Paratransit service for eligible disabled passengers is also provided. Albany Transit operates 6 days per week, Monday through Saturday, with base fare $1.70 with transfers. Recent transit system updates have been conducted, including bus stop improvements, as demonstrated in this graphic, new CNG buses, which is compressed natural gas fueling, new CNG fueling station and maintenance facility, and the ongoing design of the new transfer facility. This study also builds on the regional transportation planning that is conducted by your Metropolitan Planning Organization or Doherty Area Regional Transportation Study, DARTS. Their 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, which is a long-range multimodal transportation plan, was utilized as a resource for information, specifically using survey input provided for bicycling, walking, and public transit, as seen in this graphic. When asked, if you rarely bike, walk, or use public transit, please choose all the reasons that apply. And you can see the largest feedback area provided for public transit was travel time. So that's an area where we can provide some data-driven as well as public input-driven responses and results and say, okay, we need to really look at travel time for the community because that's a barrier for people who would potentially be riders or use public transportation more frequently. This is an informed planning approach, and the TDP will explore areas for service expansion, service improvements for existing routes, bus stop improvement priorities, transit-oriented development, or TOD, which really looks at land use and determines areas where you could see redevelopment that is supportive of transit as a primary mode, where owning a personally owned vehicle is not a prerequisite. Bus rapid transit or BRT light services, where you look at an enhanced form of transit, technology and infrastructure investments, ADA paratransit service operations, and the impacts of COVID-19 on service and funding, not only now, but moving forward into the future. Participation in this workshop will also help us to expand on this list. So perhaps there are ideas that you have for transportation and transit in your community that you think should be incorporated into our process. So how do you get involved? One way is attending public workshops like the ones that we're having today, providing your feedback, taking the online survey, which is available on the Albany Transit website, on our virtual meeting platform, as well as in-person hard copies. Learn about the TDP process, learn more about your system, and then share that information with others. Make sure that your peers in your community know that they have this opportunity to provide us with this very valuable feedback. And please explore our individual interactive stations. The presentation that you're seeing is here at station number 1. Station number 2 includes an online survey and fact sheet. Those are both in English and in Spanish. The detailed project schedule can be seen at station number 3. Station number 4 includes system performance report with interactive mapping. Your interactive comment map is located at station number 5, where you can drop pins or draw routes, or you can provide comments on existing stops and routes. At your next station, you can learn a little bit more about the TDP and provide your thoughts on goals and objectives for this overview. And then the open comment form, where you can just provide whatever feedback you would like to, and you can provide your contact information for our team to reach back out to you. So we thank you all for participating with us today. We encourage you to please join us for our 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock meeting. Please continue to interact with our online platform. Share that with your friends and your community members. And please don't forget to use each of our stations to learn more about the TDP, more about Albany Transit, and provide your very valuable feedback. We're going to remain here for the next 15 minutes to provide you all with the opportunity to interact with us. You can ask us questions in our chat box. You can ask questions directly to me, and I will field those to our panelists and team members. Or we have individual breakout rooms available. You can drop yourself into a breakout room with any of our members here and ask specific questions to us, and we're happy to interact directly with you. We will be, again, going live between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock this evening. This is drop-in format, so we do this on a loop every approximately 20 minutes. So if you missed something, you would like to see it again, please stay tuned. We're going to do this run through one more time. We're going to now go through each individual station so that you can see how these tools function in our interactive platform. And we hope that you will take the opportunity, click on the link, go to the Albany Transit website, and interact with these individual stations as well. So again, station number 1, you can see that overview presentation with voiceover audio. At station number 2, you can click on the computer to access the online survey. It takes approximately 10 minutes to complete and is available in Spanish by clicking on the icon to the right. You can also access our online digital fact sheet. These are also available in hard copy, and they have been posted on the Albany Transit vehicles, where you can learn a little bit more about the Albany Transit Development Plan, our planning process, a snapshot of how the system is functioning and how the service is functioning, a detailed project schedule with adoption slated for February of 2021, how you can get involved, what all the various opportunities are for you to provide your feedback to us, and then contact information for Albany Transit. Ms. Gwendolyn McDaniel is your local project manager, and she's happy to provide you with any information you need and help you understand how to best utilize these tools available to you. You could pop up the individual project schedule to see the detailed information about when these various tasks are occurring. Kickoff did begin in June of 2020. We have been conducting data collection that's ongoing and slated to wrap up at the conclusion of our public workshop kickoff sessions. We have been heavily involved in evaluation and analysis over the last several months, really diving into that data, looking at highest ridership routes, lowest ridership routes, areas where we see opportunities in the community under demand estimation, where perhaps you have greater densities, more people living or more people working, but don't currently have any transportation services. And there may be opportunities to meet some of that demand. And then we will begin our alternatives analysis, pulling all that information in together and saying, how can transit best solve problems that exist, and how can we best utilize it as a transportation tool for our future? We have public and stakeholder engagement opportunities that are ongoing throughout this process. You're here at the Green Star with our first public workshop kickoff. There will be another round of workshop opportunities once we have some recommendations solidified, and that will be prior to adoption in February of 2021. At our next station, you can see detailed operational and performance information about the existing system. You can see ridership trends and data. You can see areas where ridership has been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, but is rebounding, and we're very happy to see that information. You can see detailed route information for the entire system by route. So for instance, Route 1, Red Line, Robert Harvey, you can click on the arrow to see the existing alignment as well as the individual stops, which are indicated by stars. And then you can also scroll through and see where that route is located on the map and see performance ridership information by fiscal year 18, fiscal year 19, and fiscal year 2020. Fiscal years begin July 1st and end June 30th of the next year. And as you continue to scroll, you can see detailed information for each of the system's 13 routes. At your next station, you have an interactive comment form where you can be provided with detailed information about how to utilize the tool if you click on the little icon on the bottom left. And you can see the individual bus stops for the system indicated in blue. You can also see a full listing of those bus stops where you can select an individual stop and provide feedback on it. So an example of feedback that you may want to provide, perhaps there's an amenity that's missing. You would like to see a shelter, or you would like to see a sidewalk, or perhaps there's no stop at all and you would like to drop a pen to indicate to our team that you would like to see a stop placed in a certain location. So by selecting the icon and dropping it in a new location, you can have your feedback provided virtually on the map. In addition to bus stops, you can also see bus routes. So you can select individual routes in order to provide feedback on, for instance, the green line, provide your feedback, or you can draw a new alignment by selecting the drawing tool and drawing a new route for us to consider, and you can even name it. So we will be able to see all that information on the map. We can review it and see if it's appropriate to incorporate into our recommendations. In addition, we have 2 final stations, learning more about what a TDP is and providing feedback about the overarching goals and objectives for the system. And at our final station, you can select the hyperlinks both in English and in Spanish to provide just your general feedback. So perhaps you don't want to take an online survey, you would rather not interact with a map or don't feel comfortable interacting with a map. Here you can just provide your thoughts. They can be questions, they can be comments, they can be concerns. They can also be compliments for some area of the system or service that you would really like to see stay just the way it is. So provide your comments, you can provide us with your contact information, and then you can let us know whether or not you would like to be contacted back by one of our team members to continue that dialogue. Without further ado, you're back at the main station. So again, we thank you all on Facebook and YouTube Live for following us. And we encourage you all to please click on the hyperlink and join us in our virtual meeting platform. That can also be accessed on the Albany Transit website. And we encourage you all to please continue to look at that location, share it with your friends, share it with your community members, repost it, and we will have this up and running for the next 1 month period. So we're going to go through the presentation slides one more time. We're going to give you all a final 10-minute opportunity to provide us with comments in the chat box, to go into any of our individual meeting rooms, and then we're going to wrap this session up, but we will be live again between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock p.m. this evening. So we're going to have just a 2-minute break, and then we're going to do our presentation slides. So please stand by, and we will be live in 2 minutes. Hello, everyone. For those of you who are just joining us, we're just coming back from a brief break. We are going to run through our overview presentation slides. For those of you who have not had the opportunity to view the overview slides, we're going to do a brief walkthrough, and then we'll take you back through our online meeting platform, our virtual meeting space, and show you all the various tools and opportunities for your feedback. We are live, so we're here to answer any questions you might have. You can put them in our chat box, or you can ask us directly. Please feel free to also join any of our individual chat rooms, where you can see a breakout room for Vishanya, Justin, Gwendolyn, or ask away in the main room. So we're going to go through these presentation slides one more time and give you all the opportunity to provide us with your feedback, and then we're going to go on recess and come back together at 4 o'clock p.m. this evening. So this presentation will talk about what a Transit Development Plan, or TDP, is. It'll provide an overview of the Albany Transit System Study and the system overview, and provide you with detailed information about opportunities for public and stakeholder participation. So what is a Transit Development Plan, or TDP? A TDP is a strategic planning document that defines public transit needs, solicits broad input, involves substantial public participation, explores community goals with decision makers and stakeholders, defines alternative courses of action, and develops a systematic plan and monitoring program. It is a prerequisite to receipt of federal and state funding, and includes a financially constrained 5-year work program, and includes a 10-year long-range improvements plan. So the Albany Transit TDP was last completed and updated in 2015. That plan included system and service performance data, community population, employment, and demographic data, funding projections for 5- and 10-year plans, transit system service and policy recommendations, results of public and stakeholder engagement efforts, and implementation timelines and strategies. The full report can be viewed at www.albanyga.gov. The 2020 TDP study includes substantial stakeholder and public engagement that is ongoing throughout the planning process. Project initiation began with forming a stakeholders advisory committee and developing a public participation plan, as well as a project management plan. Data collection and assessment was the next step, including service, ridership surveys, financial data, and study area profiles. You are currently in this stage as your feedback is considered viable and valuable information to show us how the system is currently operating and provide us with feedback needed to determine demand. So to identify areas where we see potential population and employment opportunities substantial enough to support public transportation, as well as feedback from the community, identifying areas where that service is needed. That helps us to identify service options, organization assessment, and recommendations in order to implement those service opportunities. That's developed into a plan that is then reviewed by stakeholders, oversight agencies, and the public. Recommendations are finalized, and final reports and presentations are made. All of these various activities are conducted between June of 2020 and February of 2021, which is the anticipated adoption date. Again, you can see our data collection effort is wrapping up, evaluation and analysis is ongoing, demand estimation is done concurrently. Our alternatives will then be developed and completed approximately in the December timeline. Public and stakeholder engagement is ongoing, where you can see you are currently at the Green Star with our first public and stakeholder workshop. There will be other opportunities that will be advertised once recommendations have been synthesized. And then plan development is ongoing with the final plan adoption again in February of 2021. So a little bit about your current system. The Albany Transit System is a department of the City of Albany. You currently have 13 bus routes, as well as paratransit service for eligible disabled passengers. You operate 6 days per week, which is Monday through Saturday, and a base fare of $1.70 with transfers. There have been some fairly significant improvements and updates to the Albany Transit System since your last TDP. You can see you've had bus stop improvements through the rebranding process, new compressed natural gas or CNG buses, and that required new CNG fueling stations and maintenance facilities, and ongoing design of the new transfer facility. The TDP builds on other regional transportation planning efforts that have been recently conducted, including the Doherty Area Regional Transportation Studies Long Range Plan, or 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, where surveys were conducted that were multimodal in nature. And this specific question represented on this slide says, if you rarely bike, walk, or use public transit, please choose all the reasons that apply. And you can see that the red arrows indicate for the various modes why they're not a viable option for the respondent. For example, for public transit, the red arrows indicating that the purple bar, the most frequent response, was that travel time is the issue for using public transit as a mode of transportation. That provides our team with an opportunity to look at areas for improvement of travel time for the system to make it a more viable option for transportation for the community. The TDP is an informed planning approach. This TDP will explore areas for service expansion, service improvements for existing routes, bus stop improvement priorities, transit-oriented development, which really looks at land use and determines areas where redevelopment best suited for transit is appropriate, so that you can then design and implement housing and employment opportunities that are not reliant on single occupancy vehicles, but rather suited for public transportation services. Bus rapid transit, or BRT Lite, which is an enhanced form of transit, technology and infrastructure investments, ADA paratransit service operations, and the impacts of COVID-19 on service and funding. Participation in this workshop will help us to expand on this list, so please feel free to provide us with any areas where you think transit should also be assessed, or areas of opportunity for modifications to your community to best suit transit. So how do you get involved, and how do you provide that feedback to us? By attending these public workshops where you can provide your feedback, taking the online survey and sharing that with your peers, learn about the TDP process so that you are informed and can provide that information back out to, again, your community and peers, and then sharing that information, both what you've learned and how they can get involved with others, so that we can ensure that the recommendations and modifications to the system best suit your needs. So we would encourage you all to please explore our interactive virtual meeting platform. The presentation that you're seeing is here at Station 1. There are 6 additional stations. The station number 2 is where you can view the online survey and project fact sheets, both in English and in Spanish. Project schedule, the system performance report, which is an interactive tool. The interactive comment map, where you can drop individual stops, draw routes, or provide feedback on existing stops and routes. Goals and objectives, and a general comment form. We thank you all for your participation, both those of you joining us in our Zoom meeting platform, as well as those on Facebook and YouTube Live. So we're going to walk you through our virtual meeting platform one more time, and then we're going to recess until our 4:00 p.m. meeting. So you can see we are here at the presentation slide deck that you just viewed. Station number 2, as described, has your English survey as well as Spanish. This takes approximately 10 minutes to complete. We also have your fact sheets in English and in Spanish. By selecting the hyperlink, you can view and print the fact sheet. And those are also available in hard copy format and have been circulated on the Albany Transit vehicles. You can see the detailed project schedule, the operational assessment and analysis, where you can see overall ridership and system performance trends, as well as statistics for each of the individual routes. In order to expand these individual thumbnail maps, you click on the arrow, and that provides you with information about the individual route, and the stars are representing the individual stops for that route. You can then select the interactive mapping tool. It does include written instructions as well as verbal and presentation format instructions, where it'll show you step-by-step how to provide your feedback. You can provide your feedback either for bus stops and or bus routes. So for bus stops, you can expand your options and select individual bus stops where you can then provide a comment. Or you can create a new stop or route and drop that information on the map in an area where perhaps you would like to see service provided where it isn't currently. At that point, you'll be provided with an opportunity to provide your comments and feedback so that we can then incorporate that into our process and analyze it for incorporation if appropriate. You have your general information about the TDP and an opportunity to talk about goals and objectives. And then your general comments, where you can select on a hyperlink in English or in Spanish to provide your open-ended comment feedback. So perhaps you don't want to take a survey, or you don't feel comfortable dropping stops and drawing lines on a map. In this location, you can just type your general comments. You can provide your contact information and then indicate to our team if you would like to continue that dialogue. You can visit this online meeting platform anytime by going on the Albany Transit website and selecting the hyperlink. We encourage you to do so. This will be live for a 1 month time period, so we'll conclude November 22nd. All of your feedback comes directly to our team, so we'll be able to reach back out to you if you provide us with your contact information, and all of your answers, responses, and helpful information will be aggregated and help make sure that this TDP is reflective of your needs. So I will now turn the mic over to you all. If y'all have any questions or concerns, please shout them out at us. Please feel free to provide comments in the comment box. We're going to stay live for about 5 more minutes. We're going to remain quiet so that we can hear you. Thank you again to those of you who are watching on Facebook Live as well as YouTube. And we encourage you all to share the information, share this opportunity, and join us again between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock this evening, where we're going to go back through this presentation. It is drop-in format, so you don't have to stay for the full 2 hours. You can see the presentation, get the information, and then go on your own into the online portal and provide your feedback. So without any further ado, Gwendolyn, I'm going to turn the mic over to you to say any closing statements, and then we will conclude our meeting.
Thank you, Rachel. We appreciate everyone joining us today. If you all have any questions over these next 5 minutes, feel free to ask. And even after we're done, you can contact me. My contact information is on the webpage as well as Facebook. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwendolyn. We're now going to go on mute and turn our cameras down, but we will still be here in the background. If anyone has any final comments, please just shout them out or hit us in the chat message, and we will conclude the meeting in approximately 10 minutes.